Welcome to Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. B for brand, D for development, and M for masters. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By watching the Follow the Brand TV series, you will learn how to differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients. As the saying goes, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaw@5starbdm.com. Now, let's jump into our next episode on Follow the Brand TV. Welcome, everyone, to another fabulous week on the Follow the Brand Show. And today, as always, we're going to have a special guest, but we have a special mission. We have a mission today. We are going to not just talk about it, we are going to do something about it. And what I'm talking about is helping our youth from a perspective of giving the tools that they're going to need to compete in this world. And I'm going to be participating in the Black Business Expo throughout the week from March 21st through the 27th. I've got our special guest on today. He's going to tell us a little bit more about himself, a little bit more about his story, why this is so important. And we want as many people as possible to tune in to the entire week. That's March 21st through the 27th, 8 a.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about already throughout the world, over 1 million viewers have tuned in to what Dr. Eric Kelly III has been doing for the community. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Kelly.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's always great when I get a chance to come to Follow Your Brand podcast. Man, this is an exciting podcast. I had an opportunity to see some of your work, and man, you do some outstanding work. And the thing that we really love from a entrepreneurship perspective is that you're consistent. And consistency when it comes to your brand is the most important. Many people can start the race, but it's like the tortoise and the hare. You know, people didn't realize the hare was so far ahead, he just said, I'm going to take a nap. And when he woke up, the tortoise was going across the line. And that's what we have to look at when we look at phenomenal people like yourself working in this space.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. Kelly. And these are the Olympics. The funny that you bring up the tortoise and the hare. And I don't, plan on coming in last, in these Olympics, because there is a little context that goes on. You're going to see that this event from the 21st through the 27th, you're going to have phenomenal speakers. And each speaker has an opportunity to get a prize, whether it's a bronze or silver or gold.
You see, the third year, open my agency, my grandmother walks in the door and says, I want you to do a business expo. I said, what do you mean? I want you to do a Black Business Expo. She coined it. I tell people all the time, the Black Business Expo was not created by me. The Black Business Expo fell on me. My grandmother walks in and she says, this is what she wants to do. Mind you, earlier I told you she was a negotiator for the AFL-CIO, and where she worked there, she also was a negotiator for getting people raises and getting other folk to feel all right by giving them the raise. That's what she did, okay? So I took the idea and I said, okay, I didn't think it was a real idea. It was coming from my grandmother. I'm a young person. I think I know everything. Okay. So I take the project that she gave me to the Black data processing group that I was what? Publicity, the fundraiser for. Okay. And I said, this is a good idea and everything. And everybody was all aboard except for the president. After 2 months, he walks into our meeting and says, you know what? I don't think we're going to do the Black Business Expo. Mind you, I had already for 2 months been selling it to businesses, to companies and corporations. I had set up a bank account. I had already raised $7,000. All I needed from him was $600 to pay for the ballrooms that we was going to have it in. And because of my integrity, I was going to turn all the money over to them because I brought it to you. Because that's how I was raised. I wasn't raised to say, oh, okay, you don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. Okay, so when he said that, I was so infuriated and so mad, I wanted to cuss everybody out. I've done all this work. But my great-grandfather say, don't say nothing. So I sat there and I took it. I got up. I act like he ain't say nothing. I went to my office. I sat in my office and in walks my little brother. My little brother said, what's going on, man? I said, I started telling him about the show and everything. And then he said, wait a minute. He said, hold on. He said, how much money have you raised? I said, I done raised $7,000. You know how you sounding like, what I'm gonna do? Because you don't know what you're gonna do. And so he said, okay, so you raised $7,000. He said, well, how much is it gonna cost for the venue, for the hotel? I said, $600, $200 a ballroom. We're gonna get, I had planned on getting 3. He said, well, we're gonna do the expo then. I said, what? He said, we're gonna do the expo. I said, what? He said, look, man, don't worry about them. We're gonna do the expo. You got the money, you already made a profit. And I said, man, you're right. I'm looking at my little brother. That's my little brother now. And if you know my little brother, comes from the same cloth, but he's Mr. Devious. He's got the devious. I don't have the devious. He had the devious. And so I changed all the information and we did the first expo. We had 93 tabletop people to come in, and nobody had ever done anything like this. We probably had about 1,000 people to come.
What year was this?
This was 1996. Okay. 1996. Because the first show I did was in 95 with a guy, and it was called the Special Pages. So I kind of knew how to do it because I worked with him. And so my grandmother comes in. This is the thing I want young people and other people to understand. Sometimes you think you know a lot, but have your grandparents to come in and tell you what to do. Have them to look at what you're doing and ask you questions. She walked in and she said, nice little show. Remember, this is my first show ever.
Correct.
My heart and everything is 10 feet tall. She comes in and said, nice little show. And then she said, you didn't do your research.
Okay.
Now, I am this big now, okay? I held it together all day around people, but in the back of my mind was what? Nice little show. So the next year, I started doing research. I didn't have pipe and drapes. I didn't know what pipe and drapes was, okay? The next year, I do pipe and drapes, okay? She comes in again and she says, now, we're going to continue to do this show, but we're not going to do this show if you don't take out the time to do real research. Yeah, it's good that you have these pipe and drapes and you got the tables. And she says, you probably been worried about the profit. And my mind didn't want to say, yes, I have, but my mind had. I was thinking small, okay? That's what the problem was. I was thinking small. And so she said, now, I want you to come out of the house today and we're going to have a sit down. And when she said we're going to have a sit down.
You're going to sit down.
We're going to sit down. So we sat down and she said, look, have you read any magazines? Have you read any newspaper? Have you studied what you're doing? I said, no, ma'am. I said, I just been trying to make sure that everything is paid for. She said, look, Papa always told us, don't never put money first. Put the vision first and the money will come. She said, you got to build it with a vision of what it is. right now you don't know what the vision is.
Very
And
true.
you keep thinking that you know, but you don't know. She said, I need you to spend some time studying. And so I started to go into trade shows. I had never went to a trade show. I was doing it, never went. So I started going to trade shows. I started listening and finding out what trade shows that people was doing, Chamber of Commerce's, other trade shows. I started going out of town and I started seeing a difference. And then I went to a trade show that was packed. And I walked in the trade show and I think it was either Zig Ziglar or some other big time speaker, and it was packed. And I was standing there and I was looking, and then it hit me in the head. You don't have no cheese for the mice. You don't have no salt for the horse so that a horse would drink the water. That's what my great grandfather used to say. You know, he said, you can lead a horse. People always talking, he would be cussing when he said this. He said, people are always trying to leave a blah, blah, blah horse to blah, blah, blah water, but they don't understand. If you put salt in his mouth, he's going to surely drink. You got to be the salt. He said, the mice will always go in the trap because of the cheese. And so I saw it and I could hear him talking in my head at the same time. And so I said, well, what I have to do is get some keynote speakers. Okay. Remember I told you I was thinking small.
Right.
Now I'm thinking big. I'm watching television. I'm watching a guy by the name of Tony Brown's Journal. At that time, Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal was the equivalent of the whole BET network. He was that big. He was that big. And so the stuff is going across the credits are going across the screen, right? Guess what I see in the credits? The telephone number. Get on the phone, call the show, and guess who picks up the phone? Tony Brown. I can't make this stuff up. Tony Brown picks it up and I say, hello, how you doing? I'm calling for Tony Brown Jr. I want to speak to Tony Brown. He said, hi, I'm Tony Brown. I said, how much do you charge to come and speak? And he said, I charge $4,000. And I clicked on it.
No.
Yes. Okay. You got to hear the whole story to understand what's going on in my mind.
Yeah.
I come from a background of sales. I come from a background of high integrity. I come from a background of understanding what you want and understanding if I give you what you want, you're going to give me what I want. Okay. So he said $4,000. I clicked because I understood at that moment, the only way he was coming, I needed what? $4,000. It's not going to be about what I can say on the phone to him to convince him, because I won't raised like that. I was raised, tell me what you need, tell me what we're doing. Okay, let's make it happen. So mind you, I didn't know the power of television and the name recognition. So I started telling companies and people I was bringing Tony Brown, I needed blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I had $4 grand before I even knew it. And then I was looking at Black Enterprise Magazine, and on the front cover of Black Enterprise Magazine was George Fraser. And of course, the script is the same script. I get his information, I call him up, I ask him how much he's gonna charge. He's gonna charge me $3 grand. I said, thank you, I clicked. A friend of mine was working with another guy who was phenomenal at the time, and that was Claude Anderson. Okay. Now, Ken, I asked Ken what it's gonna take to get Claude. He tells me, so I got all these numbers. And mind you, if I know how people think, I'm thinking about what is the experience gonna be like, right? So I talked to the hotel, get them suites. I talked to our airlines, get them free tickets to fly here, because these kind of folk, the airlines, they want to do something with the Black community. Here's your shot. One of my best friends had a limo service. So, hey, I said, look, man, we can do some video in your limo. Remember, I ran an advertising agency in marketing and branding. So, right. You know, I'm doing all of this, right? And so I get these guys to come. And I did not even know what the newspaper was going to do. I didn't know what the radio stations were going to do. I didn't know what all of the stuff that happened that that whole year, I didn't understand none of those things. This is why I try to tell kids, everybody wants to be the first. We got to stop saying we want to be the first and find out what the first was. And that's what I found out what the first was. And boom, when I did my show, I had over 7,000 people. I had 300 booths. And we went from the front of the hotel all the way to the back of the hotel.
Blew it up. I mean, you went from the little show to the big show.
And my grandmother, my grandmother came to the show. And I had, this was me, I had the tickets where people was paying, was going to pay $20 a pop to come in my show. And my grandmother looked at me and said, "Why are you charging?" I said, "Well, we got to charge people to come in." She said, "Let me ask you a question." She said, "If you charge people, you're going to keep some people from coming that's going to be valuable resources for what you're working to do." I said, "Well, we got to charge somebody." She said, "No, what you do is you use those tickets to have people to sign in, and now you're able to control your audience."
Okay.
This
Okay,
grandma,
drop knowledge.
This grandma, this not Eric Kelly. I'm thinking, remember, I'm a car salesman. I'm thinking what? I'm thinking money.
More money.
But grandmama is saying, "Look, you know, you gotta," she said, have you paid for the show?" I said, "Yes." "Did you make a profit?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy."
But she's thinking long term.
She's thinking long term. And now think about it. Here it is, 2022. Our last show was 2019 physically. I would never got to 2019 if I had been charging in 85. Because sooner or later, people would have started saying he's out there for the money.
Right. Right.
He's out there to get that money. So she came to that show. She said, "Now this is a show." She said, "You're doing everything right at this show." She said, "Now that you got a show, now we got to go ahead and get you on TV, and we got to," and she started saying things I'm not thinking. Mind you, I'm still in the space of I'm doing this for her. I'm not doing this for me.
Right.
It's not what I do. I'm an advertising branding guy, but I am advertising and branding this show in a way until I'm breaking records. And so Black Expo USA is traveling the country and doing 14 cities. They're doing Houston, they're doing Dallas, they're doing DC, they're doing New Jersey, they're doing Indianapolis, they're doing New York City, Jacob Javits Center, 100,000 people 4 days in a row. They're doing Indianapolis, they're doing St. Louis, they're doing Oakland, they're doing LA, and they're doing Richmond, Virginia, and one more, and they're doing Tennessee. How do I know which cities they doing? I am here in Durham doing the Black Business Expo, right? And in walks, remember I told you I'm a research guy. I am watching BET, I'm not BET, I'm looking at Black Enterprise Magazine. There was a magazine called Dollars and Cents. There was a magazine called Black People's Magazine. I'm looking at Jed and Ebony. I'm looking at all these magazines. And I find out about Black Expo USA doing these 14 cities. I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm reading, I'm looking, but I'm off the grid. I'm thinking 3 people created Black Expo USA: Jesse Bozeman, Jerry Roebuck, and Bill Cherry. The reason I'm taking the time to give y'all the backstory, so you know that I'm not just saying these things like many people just be talking about things. I'm telling you exactly what happened. Bill Cherry had married a girl from Durham who was a flight attendant. So he was living in Durham and flying to New York and handling the Black Expo USA out of New York to the 14 cities. And he was reading the newspaper, and guess who shows up in the newspaper? Eric Kelly, Black Business Expo, 7,000 people breaking records. So he comes to my office. My secretary said, "There's a Bill Cherry to see you." And I said, why are you joking? Ain't no Bill Cherry coming to see me. He's in New York. She didn't know that I knew who Bill Cherry was. She was just coming in to say it's a Bill Cherry. I said, ain't no Bill Cherry out there. You just play. She said, Eric, Bill Cherry is here to see you. I said, what? Walk out of my office. Here's this gentleman, older gentleman. He's in a white warm-up suit, and you can tell he's rich. The white warm-up suit he's wearing is one I cannot afford. Okay, I'm a fashionista guy. I know what fashion is all about. On his arms are gold watches and rings and diamonds, and you know how they did it in New York in those days. Okay, the old heads, they just did it subtle. You looked at him and said, "Oh, wait a minute, what?" Oh. And so he says to me, he said, Eric, can we go to lunch together? I said, yes, sir, because I am looking at where I want to go.
Exactly.
Because I've done the research. I go to lunch with him. He keeps me to lunch from 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock because he had something in his mind he wanted to talk to me about, and he wanted to know all about me. So we went through that whole deal. And then he said, I'd like to take you to New York so you can see our show. Okay, this is with LL Cool J's, Houdini, Aretha, anybody that was anybody in New York City, Ashford, everybody. That's the kind of entertainment they had at their shows. Okay, and so Queen Latifah, all these people. And so I says to him, okay, he never once said to me it was going to cost me anything. I'm just saying yes. They could have killed me. Anything could have happened to me, but I'm walking out on faith. I get to the airport. I've never been in first class. I'm in first class. We fly to New York City. The limousine picks us up. Yeah, I've been in limousines, but the limousine ain't never picked me up. You know,
big difference.
It's a big difference. Somebody open the door for you, say, how you do, Mr. Kelly? Have a seat, Mr. Kelly. And I get to the hotel, and it's the Jacob Javits Center. I mean, they get to the hotel, and it's the Waldorf Astoria. And I get a suite upstairs, and it's bigger than my house. So I'm in a state of shock, like, okay, what has just happened?
Right.
Okay. So when you are in the mindset of a servant, you get far. When you're in the mindset of ego, you never get far. So when Bill called me downstairs and I met with Jerry and everything, he said, well, we want you to work on helping us to put the booths up. We want you to help us with doing this and doing, kind of a volunteer to help put the show together. What did I say? Sure, of course, I'm not spending any money. It's the weekend. What else I'm gonna be doing? I come from the country. We come up doing stuff. So I'm looking at it like this valuable experience. I get a chance to know the people. I get a chance to see what they're doing. And so I did that first job. Then they asked me to do to be a part of the crowd control because the Muslims were the security, the Black Muslims were the security. So they gave me a line to deal. Remember, I told you 100,000 people 4 days in a row. So we got lines. We're making sure the people stay in line and get in the line. Now, me, I am a problem solver. So I'm watching the lines come in. I got my line. I walk down my line and tell everybody what I'm getting ready to do because I'm in New York City. And if you know New Yorkers, they're politely rude. They just want to know what you're doing. Then they'll follow the rule. And so I walk down and telling everybody. So my line is coming in straight. The other three lines, they're coming in and people are all raggedy. So people start seeing my line coming in straight. We going smooth because we're in order. So the line beside mine decides, some of the people decide they're going to go over to my line. And I'm watching this. And I says to myself, I can't, my line's going to slow down because this line, I'm doing two lines. So I asked the guy who didn't care. I said, look, can I have your line too? He didn't care. He said, yeah, man, you can have my line. He probably was a guy that didn't even want to be there. But I'm here to do the job, solve a problem. So I go to the front, tell the guy, hold everything. Let my lines know what I'm going to do. I'm in a suit. I go walking down my line, tell everybody, stay in your line, don't come across. I'm going to get everybody in. We're going in real fast. Then I go all the way back to the door. Then I come jogging back. Say, hey guys, we're getting ready to go in. You know, this country boy thing. We're getting ready to go in. I'm laughing and smiling. All the beautiful women, all the business people. I'm having a ball. I tell the guy to start. The line is going in straight. Going in straight. Just going in straight. Going in straight. Bill and Jerry walks up and they look over there and they see me. And they say, Bill walks up and says, we getting ready to go to lunch. And so I said, okay. So I tell the guys, I said, y'all got the lines, I'm ready to go. They're recruiting me to work with the show for 14 cities. I don't know this. That's what they're doing. I go and sit and have lunch. Then Jerry looks at me and said, I just got one question for you. How did you get them people to go in so straight? I said, well, you know, I just told them what to do. I said, I come from an advertising background. You know, that's what you do. If you tell them what to do, they'll follow you. So now we come back, the line's in chaos. So Jerry and Bill and them looking at me like, now let's see what you can do with that, Bucky. And so I just said, I see y'all later. Went to the front, told them stop the line, told the dude I'm here, told everybody, walked through the line, did the same thing, came back. Next thing you know, my line is running smooth, okay? Now, about 4 o'clock, Bill and they come up and they watch and they see in the line, and they said, we got something else we want you to do. We want you to do some announcing called Walk Baby Love. And some people may know who Walk Baby Love was. He was the #1 DJ, black DJ in the country. Every Saturday and Sunday, Walk Baby Love would do a special on Saturday and Sundays where everybody would listen to him DJ the top songs around the country. Okay, that's on your black radio, for those who don't know. And so when they came back, they said, well, we're going to take you from the line. I said, well, can we get somebody young to do what I was doing so that the lines will be straight? I believe that's the thing that hooked them, because I didn't just jump up and walk away from the job. I said, let's get somebody in place to actually make it happen, because I know when I leave here, it's going to be over. So I go up to, they take me up to the second floor in the Jacob Javits Center that looked at the all the booths. And mind you, they had 1,000 booths. What people don't understand is in the old days when companies and apparel companies in Glory, you remember, you've heard of Glory Food, right?
Yeah.
Glory Food started with Black Expo USA. Okay, what they would do is, you didn't have enough money to advertise to everybody, right? So what you would do is you would take the Black Expo USA tour, and you would go to 14 cities and give your stuff out and go to people and sell to shelves all over the country. You couldn't do like McDonald's and Hardee's and all them other places. So you kind of did it under the radar with Black Expo with Black Expo USA. That's how Glory Foods got all across the country. People don't even know that today. So I'm upstairs and I'm looking down, and Walk Baby Love walks. I say, okay, young man, go ahead and take over. I got somewhere to be, blah, blah. Bill said, go ahead and take over the microphone. What they didn't know was I was already on radio. So when they gave me the microphone to do the announcements, I was like a fish in water. I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Black Expo USA. And I'm sounding like Walk Baby Love right at the same time, because you know I'm a radio guy. So I'm announcing everything, and then people start knocking on the door. And we want to see Walk Baby Love. We want to see Walk Baby. I said, well, he's not here. And you know me, I'm a people person. So people would come in, and I'm still doing announcements. And the next thing you know, I got a room full of people, because they had food laid out and all this stuff. I ain't thinking about that stuff. I got a whole room of people in here, almost like a party, and I'm doing the announcements. So Bill walks in and said, what are you doing? I said, I ain't doing no but announcements. I said, these people coming to look for Walk Baby Love. I said, I'm not going to eat none of that food. They asked for food. I let them have it. And he said, that's fine, young man. That's fine, young, because he understood they was going to throw the food away, you know. And so I'm doing that announcement. Next thing you know, they bring me downstairs. I'm on Casual Cal has to take a break. They need another announcer to get me up there to start announcing. Now, mind you, at the end of the day, they asked me would I like to go on tour with them. And I told them I had to think about it. Great-grandfather,
yeah,
don't jump until you think about it. So I get home, next thing I get a call, and Bill calls and said, what you think you're going to do? I said, I'm still thinking about it, Bill, because I know I've already made a decision. But I need them to understand that I'm a thinker, that I'm just not going to just jump and do things. And so I called him. I said, yeah. I said, now tell me exactly the times. He says, it's only on the weekends. My brain is like, you mean I'm going to be traveling every weekend?
Yeah.
I'm going to different cities, meeting different people, talking to different companies and corporations. I'm all in for this, baby. Let's do it. And so that was the launching pad for the Black Business Expo. That was the only way I was able to sustain it, because many people didn't know I was living with the model.
Right.
Okay, I didn't have to ask somebody how to do it. I was right there watching them do it. And all I had to do was what? Emulate and duplicate. And so I was emulating and duplicating what they was doing. And so that led us to where we are today. You know, I know you wanted to know a little bit about me, but I definitely want people to understand.
No, this is a good historical information background about who you are as an individual. I always talk about you have to own your personal story, and you do that. You have to own your business story.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to understand those things that happen beyond your control, that if your grandmother wasn't in your ear, this would have never happened.
And I got to tell you something else. This is the real part of this whole story. And I don't want to gloss over this. I don't want to let this slide out the back door. I don't want anyone who's listening, any of your audience, everything that I said to them before is what I call all right information. What I'm getting ready to say right now is the most important thing that I've said on your telecast. My grandmother said that she wanted to do the Black Business Expo to raise scholarships for kids, to send them to school, because she saw how me getting a scholarship changed the personality and the person I was by going to college. All that other stuff I done gone through, or everything, sales, all that stuff. The bottom line was, she said that she saw the change in me, and she wanted to see that change in kids all over the world. And that's why we do the Black Business Expo. That's why the Black Business Expo is the sponsor of the Black Business Olympics. Mind you, when the pandemic hit, and I said in a board meeting with my moms, they told us we couldn't have the Black Business Expo because of the pandemic, and the governor said about 10 people could congregate. Okay, so I'm sitting there, I said, well, you know what we ought to do? We ought not to do like everybody else is doing. Everybody's doing weekend events. Okay, they're doing just weekend events. What we ought to do is 7 days, set it up like a business plan, have each day to be a theme day, because everybody at home already, this is my brain saying, they ain't doing nothing. I mean, think about what.
No, let's tune in. No, your format is great. And I'm glad we're at that point, because the format that you have is fantastic. Every day is a focus. Every day is a focus, and it's from 8 to 8. And I'm sure they're all recorded. So you'll get an opportunity to tune in and understand in your walk of life what's important for you. I mean, I've been in sales 20, 25 years. Listening to you talk about your journey is good knowledge and validation for me. And I really, truly appreciate that. I didn't even get a chance, and we will talk about this, because you're an artist.
Oh, yeah,
right?
And you see how I'm backing up, right? You see how I'm backing up. Yeah, I'm an artist, but and I love it. You know, we are conditioned, okay, when we go to high school and junior high school, to focus on 8 subject matters, okay? The reason that high schools and schools were made was because during the Industrial Revolution, they had to figure a way to convince people to sit down in factories. That's what a school is. A school is about job, 8 hours, and getting people to sit down and go to a job and sit down. That's what people don't think about it like that, but that's what school is about. Okay, but we were able to focus on 8 different things when we were in school. When we get out of school, we're taught that all we can have is one thing to focus on and make that good. But the billionaires and the millionaires have what is known as multiple streams of income. You can't have multiple streams of income if you focus on one thing. You have to focus on multiple, okay? So when I started talking about the theme days, the Monday is business empowerment, okay, and inspiration. When you open a business, what is the first thing you need? Empowerment, inspiration, information, okay? On Tuesday, we do marketing, advertising, public relations, merchandising, and branding. Remember, each day is 12 hours, okay? Now, on Wednesday, we do 64 ways to do social media, all aspects of social media. And we really need to do a show and just talk about the speakers on each one of these days, because every speaker is phenomenal. I mean, we got TED talkers, we got people who've written books, bestsellers, we got millionaires, oh my God. Anyway, let me get back to these days. I'm excited about it because when I started this, all my friends and everybody told me it wouldn't work. But let me get to the days. So on Thursday, we do diversity and inclusion. But I added something else to that, which is equity. Okay? One, if you're not included, there's no diversity. But even if you include us in diversity and there's no equity involved, nobody makes money. And so then on Friday, we do Generation X versus Generation Z, how we bridge the digital divide. And then on Saturday, we do Black business and the culture, and Sunday, we do Black business and the church. These 7 days helps you as a business owner to look at your business and listen to people in those fields talk to you on an expert level. And the most important part is this, Grant. The show is for the kids.
That's right.
We do it so our kids are not pushed to just be basketball players, football players, athletes, entertainers, rump shakers, and criminals. That's the negative thing that's pushed, the narrative that's pushed to our kids each and every day. And so what we are doing is we're dispelling the biggest myth on the planet. And that's Black people cannot work together.
There we go.
We're doing 7 days a week, 145 speakers. And our first one, we had 36,000 people to come. Our second, we had 48,000 people to come. We had 150,000 people to come to the next one. We had 250,000 people to come to the next one. We've had 600,000 people to come to the next one. And in January, our year-to-date number is what? 1,380,000 people to come to this network, because we are building capacity and we are shooting out information into over 200 countries, because our speakers come from everywhere in the world. We are using something that's put here for us that people are not thinking about. And some people say, well, Eric, how did you figure that out? I didn't. Like I said before, I'm laughing and joking in a meeting, and my mama said, you do it. All of my friends said to me, it wouldn't work. People are zoomed out. People are not going to sit there for 12 hours. People are not going to sit there all week. My best friend, one of my best friends, has a network, BGN television network. And he was in my ear, man, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. You need to record it. You could have some problems. Anything can happen, technical issues, this and that. And I had to hang the phone up and not pick up his phone call for 2 months because he was wearing me out with it won't gonna work. Mind you, I am the guy that's saying to everybody, How are you guys telling me it's not going to work and it's never been tried? Okay, is that not what they told Bill Gates?
Oh, yeah.
Is that not what they told Bezos? Is that not what they told Steve Jobs? They told all these guys it's not going to work.
Nobody. Well, I think anything that's new, anything that's innovative, anything that's different, it's going to be challenged. But if you are fired up with the vision, going back to what your grandmother said, the vision, that's going to push you. You have a vision, you have a purpose. And now I need a vehicle. This is your vehicle. This is how we're going to get this done.
And the other piece about that, Grant, is this. So I wanted to just do 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Okay. Remember, I said you got to think big. So while I'm calling people and talking to people, and folks say, well, how you getting all these speakers? I got on LinkedIn and I got you from LinkedIn.
That's correct.
I mean, and I'm just being real. I went on LinkedIn and asked people to tell their amazing stories. And people say, yeah, I'll tell my story. Well, what time can you tell your story? I can tell my story at 9 o'clock in the morning. I can tell it at 8. And so people started giving me different dates. And what I did was I just wrote the dates down. I didn't even pay attention that it was 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. And before I knew it, I had by myself, and I'm not saying that to brag, I'm just talking about what happened. Because all my friends, everybody I knew said it wouldn't work. I couldn't get no help from nobody because everybody thought I was crazy. By myself, I had filled up 7 days, 145 speakers. And now the daunting task was what? Now how I'm going to broadcast it. Yep. Mind you, I had been trying to figure that out all the while I'm doing this. Remember my great-grandfather say, put the vision first, the money will come.
Correct.
Okay, so I got the vision, but I still don't know because Zoom told me that if I'm going to have over 2,000 people on the Zoom, it's going to cost me $30,000. Cisco told me if I'm going to have over 5,000 people on the Zoom, it's going to cost me $40,000. And Team told me, well, you know, that's a lot of people to have on at one time, but it's going to cost you blah, blah, blah. And you're going to need this, and this. So instead of me saying, oh, woe is me, it ain't going to work, I kept looking, I kept searching. And a friend of mine was working with the IBM network. A lady friend of mine, she was doing a talent show and she wanted to do a talent show online. And I told her about him. Yeah. Okay. Now we have young people on our board. And one of the young people said to me, look, Dr. Kelly, what you can do is you can do it on Facebook Live and it'll be free. And so I heard him, but it didn't hear him. Because sometimes when young people start talking, we don't hear them. Remember, we are listening to what we're thinking, so we're not hearing them. So I kind of heard him, but didn't hear him. So when Mark did the show, it was a disaster. They couldn't get nothing right because a lot of singing in different places. And so she called and complained to me about it. I called Mark and asked him what happened. And then, yeah, I called Mark and asked him what happened. And Mark told me, well, man, really what I do is interview shows. I really don't do all this singing stuff. And he said he did interview shows. My brain said, well, tell me exactly what you do, Mark. Mark breaks down everything. He says, and we do the interview shows on the network. We send it out to Facebook. We send it out to LinkedIn. We send it out to YouTube. And we send it out to other social media outlets. And we have a schedule. And when I schedule them, and my brain is saying, Olympics. He's still talking, Olympics. Then I said, well, I just got one question, man. How much would it cost if I wanted to do 7 days a week, 12 hours? And he said, X amount of dollars, which was right in my wheelhouse because I was at 30,000. So any number less than 30,000, I'm all in. And so with that, when that happened, now I got a platform. Okay. The platform is going to 200 countries already. Okay. The platform is a stable platform that people are doing business on already. Now you're going to allow me to pay you to take over a week. And that's how the Black Business Expo got to its massive amount of audience.
Genius.
Now, live, okay? I want to point this out to people. You know, sometimes when you're listening to yourself and you're not listening to other people, you make many mistakes. I'm the guy who listens to everybody. So I am watching the internet. Remember, we're all at home. We're all chilling. There's nobody where to go. You can't go outside because people died in 4 days. So you don't want to go outside. Pandemic is real. This is when the pandemic was real. It's still real, but they're working on it. This before they ever had a vaccine or start taking shots. And so I am watching these two young men by the name of Swiss Beats and Timberland. And Swiss Beat and Timberland are doing something called Versus. And Versus is a live concert online where everybody's coming to the live concert, because guess where everybody at? They at home and can't go nowhere. So I watched the first Versus. I said, man, this is good. I watched the second Versus. I said, this is good. I watched the third Versus, and my brain cells said, why are you watching? You're not a spectator. What's going on here? And I'm thinking about the Olympics. I said, wait a minute. If we do live and we tell each one of the speakers to bring their audience to the live event, I can generate the numbers. 145 people, 45 speakers, an average of 2,000 people is how many people that can come to the event.
The numbers are the numbers you've already stated. You're blowing out a million, and then to get advertisement, you say like, well, what kind of audience are you talking about? Well, per show, you got 100 to 130, 140, 150.
Look, each show, the average person is going to have about 2,500 people looking at them. Okay. But the real part is this. After the first 12 hours, we flip those 12 hours so you get seen twice in countries across the globe.
Wow.
Okay.
Truly an international. You're coming from from that small event, somewhat small. I mean, it wasn't that small in Durham. So now you are an international player on the stage for the Black Business Olympics. I mean, that is the Olympics.
And now check it out. Now I'm not done. So we play the information 30 days. Like right now, the people that spoke in January are advertising the one in March. So if you go to my Facebook right now, to Black Business Expo USA Facebook, if you go to Eric A.W. Kelly right now, the expo is going on right now. The numbers are 2,000 and 3,000 people are watching it right now. Okay. When March comes, we start with a whole nother group of folk, and they get the 24-hour deal, and they advertise to the next one in May. Okay. Now hold on.
Flow. Okay.
Thank you very much. Hold on. The key for us is to be consistent. Everybody's saying to me, remember my grandmother said, why you charging for?
I remember.
Log everybody in, but be consistent first.
Control the audience, right?
Control the audience. So now we've been consistent for 7 shows. So now it's time to start talking to companies and corporations about what we've done, because we've already hit over 1 million, and we consistent. And mind you, our goal is 365 days a year, 24-hour Black network of business owners all over the globe. You're probably saying, Eric, wait a minute now. How are you going to get there? Let me tell you, as some of the people say, I'm glad you asked. So how we're going to get there is this. Okay. We did 1 in 20. In 21 last year, we did 4. Okay. This year, we're doing every other month. That's 6. Next year, we're going to do every month. Okay. The following year, we're going to do every 2 weeks. The next year, we're going to do every 3 weeks. And the following year, if we don't get it done by the 6th year, we may get there before the 6th year. But check this out, Grant. Every 3rd month in the month, we do a show, right? That's this year. That's 6 this year. The other alternate months, we're going to do what? Every other month, instead of doing January, we're going to do February, and the alternate months, we're going to do the 3rd week, right?
Right.
Okay, you heard the song "Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat" down the street.
That's continuation.
Continuation, and we have different speakers doing different times, locking into weeks. In other words, when we recruit somebody to speak on our platform, we come to them and we say, look, would you like to have your own television show for 6 months? And you're going to speak one time at the same time every month for 6 months.
Wow.
Most people say, yeah, cool, great. Yeah. Okay, what it is. That's all they got to deal with is one time.
One too many. Once a month, 6 months, right? So we breaking them down to 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. And the next thing you know, because you're sitting there, just like everybody was sitting there telling me it won't work, because they're thinking, I got to deal with 145 people at one time, when in reality, all I got to deal with is one person at one time. There you go. Make it simple.
One person at one time.
Right.
Okay, so when you put a team of 30 or 40 or 100 people together, which is what this is, the 365 is going to take about 100 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so before it can take 100 people, it's got to be proven. It's got to be consistent. It's got to look good. It's got to smell good. It's got to walk, talk, and look like a CNN. And for those who have not seen what we do, that is exactly what it looks like. It looks like a Black network coming on, giving you information about your business, about your growth, while raising scholarships for students. That's what it looks like, man.
Now that's a winning vision. That's what it will. And that's beautiful. I am so glad to be a part of this. You've invited me to speak 3 times during this week in March about what I like to talk about, which is personal branding. And we're going to be talking about this next wave of technology in the metaverse. And I want to hopefully we get a chance to even bring you on to talk about these NFTs, because that's art. How are you going to get paid on your art?
Well, we've gone long. I'm going to Grant, we've gone long.
Oh, no. That's another discussion. Another discussion.
I'm looking forward to the next time we get a chance to talk, because today we signed a deal with a metaverse that we're going to be simultaneously doing the metaverse while we are doing the universe. I keep saying to people, if everybody's in the metaverse, who's controlling the universe? So with that being said, Grant, we talked earlier. I got to get out of here. For those who would like to know about us, Black Business Expo USA. The number to call is 919-308-9090. I want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show, but I'm not going to disclose why I got to run out.
No, we already know. No, thank you, Eric. Everything you've done is golden knowledge. Thank you and your family for continuing to believe in the Black Business Expo, the Olympic, to believe in our children getting an opportunity through scholarships. If anyone wants to or needs to, tune into all the episodes on Follow the Brand at www.5starbdm, and that is B for brand, B for development, informasters.com. Until next week, I'll talk to you later, Eric. Bye-bye.
Thank you so very much. Bye-bye.